Good morning, it's the 25th of November, Sunday morning, which means it's time for the Sunday vlog. But first, here's a jingle. So we'll start with the YouTube update. It's been a bit of a slower week this week on YouTube. Things have slowed down a little bit. Not sure what happened, but halfway through the week, the channel suddenly vanished. All the videos vanished, all the analytics vanished, and all the subscribers vanished. In fact, at one point it went down to -2 subscribers. So it was a bit concerning, no idea what went on there. But the next day, everything had reappeared, all the videos were there, the analytics were there, and the subscribers were back. So I can only assume it was YouTube doing some sort of housekeeping activity. What I had noticed in the past, I use a YouTube buddy to do all the analytics and all the processing of the videos and so on and so forth. I find that hugely helpful. If you've not seen that, I'll leave a link and go and have a look at it. Probably do a review of that at some point in the future. I found it really valuable and useful. But I've always noticed that the information I get from YouTube Buddy is different than the information I get from YouTube Analytics. And YouTube Analytics has always been about a day or 2 days lagging behind where the channel was actually up to. So I've always reflected the YouTube Buddy stuff. It seems to be more real time, more consistent. But since that glitch on YouTube, the analytics are now in sync. And I do know that YouTube have been playing with their beta creator studio that they're looking to launch and move us all to in the near future. So I'm not sure whether it's something like that. However, everything seems to have rebalanced and everything now seems to be moving forward, but the progress slows down. I don't know whether the progress has actually slowed down or whether there's just been a reset in the figures, which gives me the appearance of things slowing down. But we're still making progress. It's still going in the right direction, and that's good enough for me. Snapshot last week, 18th of November, we had 23 videos out there, 2,222 views and 164 subscribers. This week, 25th of November, we have 26 videos, 2,828 views and 183 subscribers. So we have increased. Now we're up to 9,147 minutes of videos viewed, and that's just over just round about 6.5 days. So that's pretty fantastic. We'll monitor that and see what's going on. The other thing that's been concerning me a little bit is if you've been watching the Sysport series, it seems to be dragging on and on and on. By the time I've finished, there's going to be 10 videos. I made a deliberate decision to try and keep the videos down to about 10 to 15 minutes so people consume them quickly, and that's obviously limiting how much I can put into the video. So although in elapsed time it's probably taken no more than 2.5 days to get to the point that we're at, in video terms times that's sort of kind of nearly 10 weeks. And I'm not sure whether people get tired of that, they don't stick with that that sort of kind of time span overall for a project build. So I need to think about that a little bit more. And do I reduce the content inside those videos and bring it down to maybe 2 videos, much more of the fast build, the entertainment side? Do I stick with the long-term thing because I think that gives it longevity? And if you did want to build a Sysport, there's information in that series of 10 videos that allows you to go ahead and do that, and it's all free content. Anyway, I'm not intending to charge for the video or the content at any point. So it's a nice resource for people. Maybe it's a combination of the two. Maybe I do the series of videos, so if you do want to go into the in-depth, you've got that. And then I'll do a compilation at the end that brings it down to 1 or 2 videos, which is an entertainment, fast walkthrough of what we did. Don't know, welcome your views. What do you want to see? And how should we move that lot forward? So let's look at the first 12 Woodgrafters of the week. If you remember last week, because we're now getting quite a few updated, I'm just doing the first 12 who sign up on a week. So thank you so much for subscribing. If you are new here and you're trying to work out what we're doing, I'm in the process of building out a woodworking business. And what I thought I would do is I would document my journey of building that business here on YouTube. And it's a combination of business activities, customer project builds. At the moment we're focusing on building out the workshop we're going to use as our base, and obviously building up the YouTube presence to get the information out there so people know that we've arrived and have a view of what we're doing. So welcome, please subscribe, hit the notification, give me a thumbs up, and please leave a comment and get in touch with your questions. First 12 subscribers of the week are Moser Burraham, John Kane, Dali, GB Loggy, Shimul Mona, Samuel, Reader Alert, I'm sure that's Red Alerted in a different name, Letra, Usman, Haran Kawak, Mike Asus and Caden. So thank you so much for being the first 12. Don't forget, subscribe, and I'll give you a shout out next week if you're in the first 12. Workshop update. Let's address the elephant in the room. My wall has vanished. I've taken off the plywood that was on that wall and I'm using that to create the bases on the Sysport shelves. So you can see the wall has now been chopped up into strips and I'm now ripping that down to give me the base for the drawers. The drawers are a very simple construction. They've got two sides and they've got a front. I've routed grooves in all of these. I've routed a concealed groove at the front and a little bit of a hand pull there as well. The way it works is the panels, the plywood we're going to rip down, slots into those grooves. It all becomes nice and flush on the top and the sustainer just simply slots in there like that, and then I can pull that out, easily get access to the material inside the box, and there's plenty of room at the back so it's not fouling on the rest of the Sysport. So that's a basic design, really simple. So everything's cut down to size now, cut down to length, and we're ready to go. So they're nothing more complicated now than being glued up, and I do want to try and get that finished this week because I want to fix this wall and put the electrics in for the shop. The reason that's important is I want to start to get the jointer planer in the shop and the bandsaw in the shop, because that's the trigger to allow me to go and work on commissions for customers, and they're beginning to pile up. We've say I've got a small table I've been asked to make. I've then got a really interesting project which is a chess table coming up. So a customer's father left them a chessboard, a really nice slate chessboard, and what they want to do is to have a table that sits into with drawers for the chess pieces. So that's a really interesting project with a nice story behind it, so can't wait to get started on that one. And I'm also beginning to talk to a customer now about a bedroom fit out. There's a bedroom they want to turn into more of a teenage hangout space, so they want to get some furniture inside there for, you know, desks, study areas and so on and so forth. So that should be interesting as well, assuming that we get that piece of work. Question of the week comes from Dominique Monaldo, and he was commenting on the vlog from 2 weeks ago, and inside there I was talking about the Festool LR32 system. That's the one that puts the 5mm holes at 32mm spacings in cabinets. His question: thank you Andy for those interesting videos. Well, you're welcome. I just would have more details on the Sys32 and the position of the rail while drilling the two lines of holes, because Festool's explanations are not clear. And I used au pif, and sorry I don't know it in English. Au pif is French and it means ad hoc. And what Dominique is saying is that when he comes to put holes into a panel, he's sort of kind of just guessing where those holes should be, and he wants to know, is there anything more scientific that he can use. Depends what you're doing. You're tending to drill these holes for two reasons. The first reason is that you're putting some sort of draw runner inside there, and the second reason is that you want to mount some sort of shelves on your system. The draw runners are really easy. If you're using the LR32 system, you're probably using what's known as European style fittings, European hinges, European runners and so on and so forth. And these are designed to work with 5mm holes, and you see there's a hole here, and you'll see there's a hole here. They're the 5mm holes. They'll also work with other fixings, and they're not 5mm. So the distance between the two rows of holes for this type of fitting is pretty much set. It's set by the distance from there to there. So the only thing you need to worry about is how far back does this come from the front edge. That depends what you're doing. If you were putting a draw front on this that was going to overlap the front edge, then you could bring this all the way up to the front, and then your first hole would be positioned there, and then your second hole will be taken from that reference point. On our Sysport, we're actually making this flush, so the front of the front drawer will be flush with the front edge of the panel. So in that case, I just simply drop that in there, bring this up so it's touching the back of the drawer, and now that sets the front hole position for me. When you're thinking about the other area, and this could be, I actually want to use the LR32 to give me a row of shelf supports, and I just want to mount this bracket here. There isn't really any hard and fast rules on this one. What I tend to do is to make sure that the holes are set in from the edge of the board. I tend to use, a natural wood. I don't tend to use man-made boards like MDF or so on and so forth. So in my designs I always allow for the expansion and the contraction of the boards. So I never want my whole support, my shelf supports, to be right at the edge of the board, because if I do that, this expands and contracts, and the worst case scenario, it falls off the board and doesn't fit in. So I always come in and allow about 15 millimeters from the end of the board, and therefore that would give me the minimum sort of position for those pins. Don't come too far in, because the further you come in the centre, obviously you're now creating a pivot point, and if you put heavy weights on the front of the board, it will pivot down. Although there's no real standard, people tend to come in from the edge of the board about 35 to 50 millimeters, and that's where they then do their first hole. And then if you to give a 15 millimeter overhang on this one, you're then in a position where you've actually offset the shelf from the front, which gives you that rather nice feature gaff. So 35 to 50 millimeters, and then make your board 15 millimeters longer than the hole. In terms of the back one, very often you're going to have a back panel, usually some sort of plywood material or panel at the back here. I like things to line up. So if I've come in 35 millimeters from the front, I will then measure 35 millimeters from that board, so I'd allow for the thickness of the back panel. If that was rebated in some way, I would still come from the edge of the board. So allow for the overhang at the back, the thickness of the material, and then 35 millimeters there. And that just gives me, something that looks lined up and looks nice and neat when I've got the parallel holes inside there. And then I would make my board from the back to 15 millimeters beyond that hole, and that would give me something that works well, it's stable, it allows for the expansion and the contraction of the wood, and it's not going to tip, and it looks nice. Hope that answers the question. Stupid of the week. Now, stupid of the week is where I share a mistake with you. If you don't know my background, I come from a hand tool background, so the use of power tools and the Festool system, it's all still relatively new to me, and I'm learning as I build out the workshop. And indeed, part of the workshop build is to get familiar with the tools, so I can crack on and make my mistakes in the workshop environment, so I don't carry those forward as I'm making the projects for the customers. This week's is to use the MFT table. I love the MFT table, and I love the use of this rail. And when I use it correctly, it's giving me really accurate, repeatable cuts, which is what I wanted. However, I find that this bracket here gets in the way, so when I'm not using it, I catch myself on it. So I tend to take this off and I store it on this back panel here. So I just slide that through there and store it out of the way. Stupid of the week, when I was cutting down all the fronts and the sides, I forgot to put that rail back on. So I dropped this down, there was no support for it, and that now allows this to move backwards and forwards, so it's not stable. And as you can see, that then allows anything to move. And a few of these have come out now where the ends aren't square, and if I show you that on this one, can you see that end is just not there? That end is not square. I've got a gap there, and that's purely because I have not used the MFT table correctly, because I forgot all the way through every single cut to put the bracket back in place. And if you are following forward on the Sysport build series of videos, look out for that. You'll see on one clip I put this down and there's no bracket inside here, and I go ahead and make the cut. So you'll notice that. Stupid of the week. Final thing for this week is I've been looking at the website. If you read the descriptions on my videos, you'll see plans are available at www.thewoodgrafter.com. I'm now in the process of building out that website. In fact, a few people have already signed up and subscribed to the website, even though it doesn't actually exist. The domain name does, and I've got a holding page out there, and I say I'm building the website in the background. It takes quite a long time to get the website designed, so I'm probably going to launch that in phases. Ultimately, the website's really about attracting our customers, the ones we want to build the products for. So the website's going to be laid out, you know, this is me, this is how we work, here's how you approach us, here's how the system of engagement works, here's the portfolio of stuff that we've done for other people, a bit of information about that. But I'm also going to put a community side to the website, so when you come along looking at the index at the top, the menu at the top, you'll see a YouTube section. Flick on there, and that's where we'll actually bring the community together a little bit, and that's where I'll be publishing the free plans. So in there you'll see that the free plans, a link to the playlist that talks about how I went ahead and built those, that sort of particular thing, and so on and so forth. And as I engage with a customer, I'll be asking them whether, you know, we can document the build and publish that into that community. So a combination of YouTube and the website will give us what we need as makers to sort of kind of learn from each other and ask more detailed questions about the build than maybe we get time for on YouTube. Look out for that. I'm probably going to release it in phases. Trying to do the big thing at once is just too big a task. I am still working by myself, so I'm trying to run the business, set the business up, build out the workshop, do commissions and how the website, and edit these videos as well. So it's all very, very busy at this moment for not a lot of financial returns. So I need to balance things a little bit, but I do want to get that launched in some way, shape or form in the not too distant future. That's it for this week. So thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe now, hit the notification, give me a like up, and please keep the comments coming in. Thank you all for the messages. You know, keep going, it's a great job, it's looking really, really good. Thank you for all those, I really appreciate it. And please come back with your questions and comments. See you soon.